Hi, this is Olivia from Las Vegas, and chat told me to call in about our mail-in ballots being stolen.
About what being stolen?
Our mail-in ballots.
Oh, boy.
Here in North Las Vegas.
Oh. Where were they stolen from?
Our community mailbox. We have a gated community, so there's cameras. They will be able to get these people. Hopefully, all my neighbors have cameras on their houses. But it looks like they started in the northwest first, and now they're working north central. And yeah, I called and made a report to the post office inspection services, and they gave me a service request number. And then I had to call the county clerk, and a guy named Freddie told me that just go into early voting between now and the 4th and tell them my ballot was stolen. And I asked them, will I get arrested? Because the first thing when you open the mail ballot supplement ballot question pamphlet is voting twice is a felony. So I asked him, can they use that? And he said, not without authentication. Sorry, guys, I'm nervous.
No, you're doing great.
And yeah, so.
Well, here's what I would recommend. Here's what I would recommend. Make sure that when you go to vote, or when you are told that you can vote, it may be worth calling in again, record the conversation.
Oh, okay.
Record the conversation so that you have some explicit evidence that you have been informed by a specific authority. If they can write you an email too, that would even be better.
I did write them an email.
Well, but you want them to write you an email saying, answer that. Or at the very least, get a recording so that you have evidence that you have been told to do this. I mean, that's why they threw out those cases in Florida, because they were told that they could vote. And it was, it's just a stunt. Here's the thing. They won't come after you. Well, who knows? But it's unlikely that they will come after you. But if you have evidence like that, you show up one day in court. Here's my iPhone. Here's my Android. Here's the recording. Here's the email. And they're like, you can go. That's basically what happens.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that information.
Appreciate the call.
Can I ask you one more thing? Can I get a shofar for my birthday? Because you were gone on my birthday.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks for the call.
I sent this in the chat, Bradley, but maybe we should talk about some of the voter intimidation that's happening just based on that call. I don't know if you're down for that, Sam.
Wait, I'm sorry, say again?
Like these armed vigilantes essentially outside of a ballot box in Arizona that was recorded by local news. There's not much to the clip, but apparently these have been cropping up in Arizona, and I would guess that it's going to happen throughout the country, these Trump supporters. And
they're supposedly protecting the boxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And which they very well may be doing now. But they also, it's hard to know how much of this is, and make no mistake about it, the DeSantis thing was completely geared towards scaring particularly African-American people, because there's 2 or 3 levels to these images that they're seeing. One is it's not even like explicit. You could watch that quickly and not even be explicit that their status as a former convict was what the basis of these arrests were. But one, it's to confuse, everyone as to who is eligible and everyone who is eligible, particularly if you're a person of color.
And if you had some sort of previous conviction, even if you were in the overwhelming number of people who were allowed to vote based on this ballot initiative, well, then you probably shouldn't show up. But this is 10 seconds, Bradley. If you could just play this really quickly. This is just some footage of that was taken by, I think, KNXV TV, an ABC affiliated station in Phoenix outside of Maricopa County. And this is like what this guy was just all night sitting there. Or 2 people, one in a tactical vest with both of them with their faces covered and clearly essentially armed. And there have been multiple complaints of voter intimidation in Arizona specifically, with including one claiming, quote, camo-clad people were taking pictures while an early ballot was dropped off outside the Maricopa County election headquarters. And of course, this is such an important county for presidential elections. It was kind of ground zero for election denial in 2020. But, you know, we've said this before, I think. There are going to be more of these kinds of extremists, paramilitary types who want to cosplay as tough guys being deployed to ballot boxes. And on election day, I would not be shocked if a lot of these extremist MAGA Republicans are getting in with as poll workers, trying to intimidate people and at the very least, but maybe potentially rig things in their favor.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. Was like they start with their guarding the ballot boxes, and then at one point they shift into like, you're not allowed to put your ballot in there.
Mm-hmm.
There is a big feature in the Boston Globe today or this past weekend that is entitled America's election workers are leaving in droves. And it starts.
They're terrified.
Yeah, and it starts off by profiling this woman named Judith Koslowski, who is a former or about to be former election worker in Central Lake, Michigan. So like a small precinct. And she basically says at some point, talking about how she used to love her job and recently because of so much of the, focus on so-called voter fraud, she says, there are days that I go home and just sit and cry. She goes, I'm done. Like it is essentially these things like this are beyond being just blatant intimidation tactics, are also basically trying to get at just beyond the chilling effect, also just destroying the infrastructure of elections to make it easier to kind of influence to go their way.
This is an important note on that advice I just gave the other caller. I didn't know this about Nevada because I always thought that it was actually not a two-party consent state. Maybe that has changed. But they used to do those prank phone calls from Comedy Central. They would go to Las Vegas to do it from there because it was
in terms of recording
at that time. But regardless of this, it is, you should always, when you're recording one of these people, say, I should just let you know for quality control. You can say whatever you want as long as you say to them, I am recording this, and let them know that you're recording it. And I guess that means you have to get permission from the other party on the line in order to record the call. So you can say like, look, I'm recording this call. If you got a problem with it, you can hang up. But I want to record it just to make sure that I have you on record so that I'm not misunderstanding. You can also take notes during or immediately after the call, and then like maybe, send them to a friend to show that they're contemporaneous. Getting them to email you is better. Check with a Nevada lawyer for more or better advice. Happy birthday. No Parson. I've got multiple people now saying that Nevada is a two-party consent state, so all parties in a recording have to agree to a recording or it's illegal to record them. Okay, keep doing that. AOC later. Hello, can you put a share button functionality in the app? I think we're going to try and do that. Actually. This is an interesting story, and I mentioned this the other day. I had noticed this in Nevada, too. Republican activists who believe the 2020 election was stolen have crafted a plan to thwart cheating in this year's midterms. The strategy, vote in person or on election day, or for voters who have a mail ballot, hold on to it and hand it in a polling place or election office on November 8th. So it's going to be that much harder on election day to assess. Like, we don't know how many of these people are going to do it. We don't know how many of these people who are determined to vote today and telling people that they're determined to vote come election day, oh, shoot, it's raining. Oh, darn it, my car broke down, or work wouldn't let me off, or whatever it is. I think it's very hard to assess.
Well, I mean, what they want is for the flood of Republican voters to come in and Or I guess I don't know what the strategy is then.
I don't know what the strategy is.
Because now and then I realize that doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's just to continue to sow doubt in it, and so any kind of swift change in ballots being counted looks like it's being rigged for the other side. I don't know.
I mean, I have no idea, but that's what they're doing. Politico reports that Democrats are really well. They're swamping the Republicans in the House cycle fundraising. House Democrats raised their opponents in 50 of the 65 most competitive districts, is according to a Politico analysis. Now, you have outside expenditures, but the thing is that TV much cheaper for candidates than it is for outside groups. I'm not sure exactly why that is the case. I don't know if there's like a special rate you get as a candidate, but I do know that is the case. And so $10 of a candidate's money is worth something like $30 of an outside expenditure in terms of television advertising. And so, again, don't know how that translates. You've got people out there who are saying just sort of like the sort of secular trend is that the Democrats would lose 25 to 40 seats, but then you have to rejigger that because we have so few districts now that are, voted for Trump but have a Democratic candidate, voted for Biden but have a Republican, House member. So hard to determine.